And I feel like such a failure.
And I feel like such a wanker.
And I feel like such a digit when the census comes to town. Hey!
G'day mates, I am TheGlitched64, and as you can probably tell from that name, I love the 64. Hell, I've even got it tattooed on my arm. As a kid, this was the first console I owned myself, having only played the NES beforehand, and what can I say, this thing is a bloody magic machine. So many good memories with this console that if I start to talk about it now, we would be here for a good few hours. So let's just say, this little console right here, well, brings me a lot of happy memories. So what better way to honor such a beautiful console than to review some of its best and worst games? Racing games. We all know them, and I personally love them. And the Nintendo 64 had some absolute corkers, such as the classics as Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Star Wars Racer, and of course Formula F1, which literally anyone with a Nintendo 64 has. You don't know how, but you have this. If you buy an N64 bundle, this will be in it, I assure you. But there's one game in the series that not enough people talk about, and that game is Snowboard Kids 2. Now with a name like Snowboard Kids, you would be just in thinking that this was just another boring snowboard slalom game, and that were a dime a dozen in the Nintendo 64 and PS1 era. And that might be why it's so rare nowadays. $300, get the fuck out of here! But this is not the case. The game is actually a lot like Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing, whereas it's a race with items, speed boosts, power-ups, and it even has an upgrade system in place. This game was published by Atlus too, the Shin Megami and Persona Atlus, so this is getting some hopes up already. Now, I don't know how my mum did it, but she had a knack for picking out some of the best games, and she knew nothing about video games. She'd always get all the classics, Mario and F-Zero, but she'd also find really good obscure games, like Xavius for the NES, and, for the N64, Snowboard Kids 2. And I'd never seen anyone talk about or play this game when I was a kid. I was the only one that seemed to know about it, which is why I'm glad that today I can share this with you guys. So you pop in the game, turn on the console, and this epic fanfare comes right at you. This sets up the game very nicely. It's pure ear candy, as well as pumping you up, and this would be the best time to talk about the game's soundtrack because my god, it is amazing! Just listen to some of these! Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about the game itself. Like Diddy Kong Racing, this game has somewhat of a story. Now, I never played Snowboard Kids 1, so you're going to go into this as blind as I am here, with our 6 protagonists and their rather extreme noses. Linda over here looking like she could participate in an impromptu javelin contest, who are just trying to have a good time and ride around on their snowboards. However, okay, I don't know what to say at this point, so let's say a Damien is waiting in the shadows to sabotage their fun, which usually doesn't go well for him. That's really it for the story. We just follow our characters around in their interesting antics and moved on to the next antic. Simple, but it works.
Back in this day and age, just having a story at all blew my tiny little mind, so hey, it's all good. So story out of the way, let's finally talk about the gameplay. And this is interesting because this game, you don't hold down the A button to speed up. And as a kid playing this confused the hell out of me. But holding down the A button makes it so you can no longer turn. I thought it was just bad at the game, but it turns out that A is your jump button. You automatically accelerate in this game, but you can jump at the start or after getting hit to gain some momentum. Jumping is also used to do tricks and flips. This part is very fun and rewarding, and there are several flips you can do. Side flips, front flips, back flips, and you can mix these in with some heel kicks to get some money, which is very important because the items in this game cost money. So if you haven't done any tricks, then sorry, you aren't getting any items. The jumps themselves are a very cool risk and reward, because the more unique flips you do, and the more kick flips that you incorporate into it, you get a bigger combo, and the cash you get from the jump will increase. But if you don't leave enough time to finish the flip, or do a heel kick before you land, you will faceplant and lose precious time and money. Items in this game are the usual ones you'd expect. You have the small boost fan,
Whoa.
the fast rocket boost, and you have several projectile weapons, bombs, homing umbrellas, which are devastating to your opponent because they will lift them in an air for a good long while, letting everyone zoom right past. It's a bigger setback than anything Mario Kart throws at you, even the blue shell. Snowmen, which stop the player turning, and are not the best to be honest. Ice cubes, which freeze the player to a standstill. I mean, it's all great. Now, another cool thing about the item boxes are that they are color-coded, depending on what weapon you want. A utility or an attack. The redder your attacks, the bluer your utilities, and the utilities are also very fun, with a rat, monkey, magician thing that steals players' coins, ghosts that slow down the player in front, a rock. Yeah, this is kind of the lamest item in the game. It's basically a banana, but you can't even use it to block projectiles, so it's worse than a banana. And my personal favorite, the frying pan, which just squashes all your opponents. It's so OP, I love it. You can even hold one red and one blue item at the same time. So yes, this game had an item system done so much better than anything at the time.
Like seriously, this game was so intricate for back in its day. Even nowadays, you don't see games with these kind of mechanics. It's just something that's really cool about it. And I think it's really good that they did this, because otherwise it could have just been a random Mario clone. So, kudos.
Money is also useful in this game to buy upgrades to your snowboards. You start off with 3. Balance, speed, and trick boards, all level 1. All with skills that help you in a key aspect, control, speed, or tricks that you can upgrade.
And people freaking out Diddy Kong Racing for having 3 cars you could choose from. Plane, hovercraft, and car. Well, this game has 15 to 20 boards you can choose from, so yeah. I mean, I know you can't fly, but I'm trying to give it some good points so you can just fuck off.
So yeah, these 3 boards can be upgraded to level 3 each, meaning it's more enough to get you through the game. Or is it? Because you see, one thing about this game is...
it is extremely fucking difficult.
Yes, this game has some insane difficulty to it. You could have a flawless run, only to get hit near the end and every computer's right behind you, ready to scoop victory away. Now, fortunately, the rubber band in this game is not as strong as Mario Kart 64, which was the most just breaking feature of that game. But these computers could stay right up your ass, and the boss battles, oh damn, here we go. Yes, this game, like Diddy Kong Racing, has boss battles where you could have to hit the boss enough times before one lap of a track is done, or you lose. And these things are no pushover. Your shots had to be pretty precise, whizzing around on a skateboard at high speeds, and they shot projectiles back at you. And if you got shot a few times, there was no coming back from it. They were just too far off. You might as well restart. The final boss took me a good half hour, but fuck it, I did it. I won. What do I win?
I unlocked hard mode. Hard mode.
Yes, if this game wasn't hard enough, the game decides to finally take off the kid gloves. And remember when I said this game had about 15 to 20 boards, but I only mentioned 9? Well, this is where the other 10 come into play. If you get a new board for every track you manage to finish on this mode, which, holy crap, I did not get far. It is so brutal, almost unfairly so. One slip up, and you might as well restart. They expect perfection from you. You made it this far, you know the mechanics. Use them or get left behind in the dust. This is where the boys and the men diverge, and you must decide which fork in the road to take. Do you continue, or do you give up?
Well, I tried.
That's the one problem I have with this game. It's just way too difficult sometimes. I know this is something that was happening a lot in the Nintendo 64 era, with Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing and Star Wars Pod Racer all having very difficult end segments. And this is no exception. This was brutal. You don't want to go into this unless you know exactly what you're doing. But, having said that, this game is still really fun to go through, and every track is designed masterfully. Every track is bright, colourful, and offers something new. You've obviously got the normal mountain that you can go down, but you've also got the beach, and you can go to a castle, and then you can get shrunk down and race around, being very tiny in a house. It's so cool to see. And of course, you even go into space, because every game needs to go to space at some point. Finally, something interesting this game has is mini-games, and keeping with the theme, most of them are very difficult. The first minigame is a trick minigame, where you have to do enough tricks to get points to beat the level before you finish the lap. It doesn't matter how fast you are, all that matters is the points. This one is the easiest of the 3 minigames, and you can do it in your first couple of tries if you know what you're doing. Another game is a newspaper delivery game, where you have to precisely shoot newspapers into mailboxes. And this can get pretty hard because you cannot screw up once. You have to get every single mailbox filled. And you don't have an infinite amount of papers. You can't go around just rapid firing. You gotta be pretty precise with your shots. You can only miss a few. And they even put one mailbox behind a wall with no clipping. You just go straight through the wall. And then there's that last mailbox. And it's so unfair. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I always missed one. Even as an adult, I had to go and look it up on YouTube to figure out where this last mailbox always was. And the final game is just a quick race to try and get to school on time. But this has a very strict time limit. You cannot mess up. At the end of the course, if you make it to school on time, it's just so rewarding to see that 7:59 on the clock. Now you finally made it. You know, you see 7:59, you can see the finish line, but you're so far away, you're just hoping and praying, don't go to 8, don't go to 8, don't go to 8. Oh, it's adrenaline pumping, I'll give him that much.
That's the thing too, this game is right up there with Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and F-Zero, but it was just left in the dust, in the shadows. And I think it's one of the greatest racing games on the Nintendo 64. And I don't know why it's so rare, especially when it's Snowboard Kids 1. It goes for about the same price as an old game. I don't know why the sequel was left out, why no one has heard about it or played it, but I think Snowboard Kids 2 is a very good game, and I recommend if you have a chance to play it, I definitely recommend playing it because it is just insanely fun. Play multiplayer or the story mode. And I think you'll love it if you're a fan of these sort of racing games. I think you'll really like Snowboard Kids 2 if you give it a chance. So, I've been TheGlitched64. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time, mates.